Hey there YouTube world, Matt Schwartz here, the Welding Geek, and on this episode of the Welding Geek, I'm going to show you how you can turn a Black Series Boba Fett helmet into an approvable helmet for the Mandalorian Mercs Costume Club. So, if you want to see how that's done, why don't you stay tuned to the video. Alright, before I actually get rolling on this video, I just wanted to make some comments. I know not everybody out there wants to become part of the Mandalorian Mercs, or their costume is specifically designed to try to be an approvable costume. And that is awesome and perfectly fine. The stuff you learn in this video will be applicable to you too. Just being able to make yourself a custom Mandalorian helmet out of that awesome Black Series helmet. So I hope you don't bail on me if you're not wanting to become part of the Mandalorian Mercs Costume Club, which is fine. There are so many awesome Mandalorian costumes out there that are not part of the Mandalorian Mercs, and I want to make sure I give props to those people too, because making stuff is hard, making costumes is hard, and all of them are awesome. So I just wanted to cheerlead you guys on that are not specifically trying to join the Mandalorian Mercs, but I also wanted to show how you can make an approvable helmet out of that Black Series helmet. So I hope you stay tuned. Alright, this is all the stuff I think I'm going to need to do what I want to do to this helmet, which is get it Mandalorian Mercs Costume Club legal, acceptable for the CRL. The CRL states if you're going to use a Black Series helmet, you have to take out the molding, the damaged molding in the helmet, and obviously the dent for Boba Fett. So that's what I'm going to start to do here. I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to use this filler primer. We're still using filler primer. I'm going to do a bunch of multiple coats, and then I'm going to sand it down with, I've got 220 grit, 320 grit, and just keep on doing that until it's reasonably smooth and it looks like I've taken a lot of the damage out. Now I'm not going to go perfect because I want to add damage back in, and I'd like to use some of these imperfections for that purpose. But I feel like if you show that you've taken the time to try to remove that stuff, they'll probably accept it. The color I'm going with is the teal to match those other parts of my armor. And I'm going to do a base coat of this metallic. Then I'm going to do that same process with the toothpaste and all that damaging stuff to this helmet. So yeah, I've got my main color, my undercolor, my filler primer. I've got my plastic filler, also known as Bondo. We'd get in trouble at Wildtech if we called it Bondo, but hey, they went out of business, so forget them. We're calling this Bondo. Got my sandpaper. I am going to take this helmet completely apart. You're going to need a Phillips head, a small Phillips head screwdriver to do that. So let's get this thing apart, and then we'll get it painted and sanded, and I'll kind of show the steps. Like I said, I'll take it out to the garage to do the painting, but I'll show you each step in between, because I feel like anybody can rattle can something. It's not a big deal, and I'll show you the process I use to put the damage back in and all that stuff here. Like I said, I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to be learning as I go, and I'm hoping you guys will be learning too. So let's get this thing taken apart. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do to take this apart is attempt to get these ear caps off. They should snap right off. Not hopefully snap off, but come off. I might actually need a screwdriver to do that. Let me grab a screwdriver. Alright, I got my screwdriver. I'm going to start at the top here. Or maybe not, maybe the bottom. I don't know where I'm going to start. I'm just going to try to get this thing off here without hopefully wrecking it. There. I start at the bottom. Stuff always makes me nervous because it's plastic, and if you just get it just wrong. Okay. So I'll show you how this is attached so you don't break it. There's little slots here. Let me back up on these lights. I always do that. I always get the lights. There. They got the little hooks right here. So you just need to pop those, free the hooks. And there's one ear cap. This one actually comes with it off, so this should, in theory, pop right off. Didn't break it. That one just has the hooks in here. It comes with it off. Same with this one. Same little hooks, comes right off. I think the first part that I'm going to take out is actually this back vent. And you're going to need a Phillips, a small Phillips to do this. Now when you're taking all these parts off, you're going to want to keep these screws together with each part because there's a bunch of different lengths of screws. So I'm going to take this out, I'm going to set it off to the side with these screws in the holes where they go because there's a billion different sizes of screws. Why am I starting back here? I don't know, it's just easiest to me. So I'm going to take these all out. Okay, I got my thing taken out, screws put back into place. I'm going to put this off to the side so I don't lose any of the screws. Alright. Next portions I'm going to do are going to be the center ear caps on both sides. Taking these out should release this little portion. This portion here, and also all the stuff that's here. There's the seam here that will allow us to take the faceplate off. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so this little piece is loose. I do believe it is glued up here. So I gotta figure out how to pop that loose from there. So the last one I took apart, it was glued up the top in that corner. This side came off a lot easier though, so I have to figure out how to pop those loose, but I'll get it figured out and let you guys know. I'm going to do this side now. Yeah, see this one popped off just like the other helmet did. See how there's a little bit of glue here? Glue up in there. Now I just gotta figure out, this one's clinging a little harder, and it did on the other helmet too. So I'm afraid I'm gonna break it. So I'm just gonna go a little farther before I really start and maybe get the faceplate off, and then I'll really be able to see what's going on there. Next thing I'm going to do is take out the screws, take out the faceplate, the inner faceplate, and the lens. So there's a screw up here, and 6 screws right here, I believe, and then it should come out, so I'm going to do that now. Alright, so in order to remove the faceplate and all this stuff, you need to get it unclasped here and here before this will come off, or the internal stuff will come off. So just be careful when you're doing that so you don't break it. Came off too. You can see how there's a nice rubber. I might actually repaint all this stuff too, just to make it look a little different. You have all this stuff clipped in, the rubber parts, all this that I need to paint. You can see how some of this stuff is glued down. You just kind of have to work it off of there. Alright, so I have my first piece that I can start filler primering. And then be careful with this because you can see how weak that is here, and you don't want to crack that across there. That'd be bad news. But this should come out, the interface plate, and then the lens. Now on this lens, this is not dark enough for the Mandalorian Merc standard, so I'm going to replace it. I bought a shade 3 lens. I'm honestly not sure if it's gonna work because it doesn't look much more darker than this, so I might have to go to a shade 5. I buy shade 3 Hobart ones all the time, but I can't find them right now because they're made in China. So I bought a Lincoln, and I'll show it here when I get ready to replace the lens. But I'm actually going to replace this lens. Now, another thing you could do is buy window tinting and tint this out. But when I went to buy the window tinting, it was $37. Now I could buy another lens for like anywhere from $15 to $20. So unless you're going to be doing a bunch of these, I mean, if you don't have the tools like I do to cut all this out and remake a whole lens, that $37 might be worth it to spend, because then you're going to want to tint it on the outside of the lens, and it will come out dark enough. You just want to darken this up a little bit so you can't see your face through it. Okay, so that I'll figure that out when I get there. I'll explain what I'm doing on the lens. And if the shade 3 doesn't work, I'll just buy shade 5. But the process you'll at least be able to see. That just had a lot more glue on it. But I went this way, not this way, back and forth this way, and it broke that glue off. I'm gonna take these screws out here before I start pulling on that, because I'm really nervous I'm gonna break this. So if this comes out this way, it may just pull this up with it. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. All right, I'm betting this internal skin is glued in too. That's all right. Getting these screws loose enough was enough to get this to pop up enough. Give me enough room to pop that thing out without breaking it. So, I have all my pieces separate. I've got to take care of, like I said, I'm a filler primer a lot of this stuff and just sand it. I'm not going to go 100% because I feel like I can use some of these imperfections as imperfections for my helmet, and I don't think they'll care about that as long as you're making this look like a completely different helmet. You can use some of the imperfections in there, I would think, because yeah, that would make sense. We'll see. I will get a hold of the app people and they will tell me yes or no. So, next step is filler primer. Lots and lots and lots of filler primer. So, I'll probably do 3 coats to start, sand, see where that gets us, and then if that's not enough, 3 more coats, sand, see where that gets us. Just enough to get this semi-smooth enough to make it look like a different helmet than Boba Fett. So, let's get started doing that. Alright, so I have the first couple coats of filler primer drying on the faceplate and the backplate. But before I do that, I need to fill this dent, or before I prime this, I need to fill this dent with Bondo. So we'll go ahead and do that now. First thing you're going to want to do is sand this out a little bit with some, this is like 100 grit, they say 80 grit sandpaper, just something to give the Bondo something to grip to the plastic and to get kind of the paint and crap out of there. So just hit it. Alright, so I sanded that out. You have your filler and the hardener, and it comes, the one I bought comes with a little squeegee. This is pretty much all I need. stuff stinks, so do it in a well ventilated area. The amount, they say like golf ball size, to run like a 1/4 inch or 1 1/4 bead over the top of it, which is about this size. But if you put more, it will flash way quicker, so just be careful of that. The stuff will go off pretty quick. I'm gonna try to do this in one hit. Probably won't work because of how deep it is, but you want to go ahead and mix this all together. Knead it through if you've never used this stuff. Want to make sure you get the hardener on all of it. They say to wear gloves and stuff like that, so do that. I'm not, because I'm a moron. And I don't have any. So this is what it looks like right now. Not quite there. I'm just gonna leave it like that because it keeps on pulling out. So I'm gonna leave it, sand it again, and put stuff over top, and then probably final sand it. So let's let that go off. I'll go get another coat of the primer with my things. Yeah, and we'll see what the next step is. All right, so my Bondo is set up to the point where it's called green, where it's not hard and it's not soft and it won't stick to your finger. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the final layer of Bondo over here just to get this filled in. So I'm gonna do the same process. All right, glop more on there. Probably have to sand it and just make sure I have enough, but we'll come back and do that here in a minute. All right, so I did a little test sanding. I think this is hard enough for me to get sanded what I need to, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna use my 220 block that I got to do this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sand this until it looks smoothish, and we'll see if we need to add more Bondo after that. All right, so I'm sure when I go and hit this with paint, there'll be a little bit of gollywoggle in there, but this helmet's gonna be beat up anyway, so that's what's the nice thing about weathering, is you can hide a lot of garbage with just simple paint and tricks and stuff like that. So that's actually pretty good for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the filler primer. And then when that stuff all dries up, we'll come back and we'll sand it, the whole thing. And hopefully the filler primer will fill all these imperfections that they put in the mold. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so as you can see here, I created more work for myself by trying to put too much paint on at one time and then trying to hit it with the heat gun. It all cracked and pulled away. So just beware of that. It is a little chilly outside, so I think the fact that these are, I think it's probably in the mid 50s, 60s, and then I hit it with the heat gun, I think that fact just made it do that, which I can use this. I mean, this is not the end of the world. Luckily for us, George Lucas made an imperfect, you know, a used universe, as they say, so we can use this. I'll just sand it. And then use more filler primer to kind of fill in what I want. And I did put in this to give it a little more rigidity. I mean, it's not perfect, but this was really loose like that. So when I go sanding it, I didn't want to snap it across here. So I added this on just for the time being while I sand this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I think it's sandable. I mean, it's still a little green, But I want to see what I can do with these cracks. So I found some 100 grit sandpaper, it's drywall sandpaper that I had laying around. I'm going to start with this first just to be really aggressive with it. And then I will, see what happens. Alright, you can kind of see how it's filling. I'm going to keep on going with this, just sanding it down smooth, and then I'll hit it with another coat of filler primer just to fill in stuff like this. I haven't sanded this side yet. I have sanded this side. So I'll keep on going, trying to hide some of those ingrained damage marks. So keep on doing that. Alright, so while I'm waiting for the what's this stuff called? Primer. While I'm waiting for the primer to dry, I went ahead and painted all my interior parts silver. Okay, I used the same stuff I'm going to use to do the whole helmet. It's a silver metallic from Rust-Oleum. And I coated all these in it. But it looks, you know, chintzy and cheap now in real life person. So what I'm going to do is I've got some black acrylic paint. Like I said, I'm going to black wash all this stuff. I already have it mixed up here. I'm just going to do a coating. I'm going to add some more black paint to that. A coating of this black wash, and hopefully it will I want it really black. So I want it to settle in there's all these details in here the black paint can settle in, and it will make it look more realistic. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff mixed up. Wash this stuff down. I know there's a billion different ways to black wash. It's just the way I like to do it. Just water down black acrylic paint, let it sit, kind of sand off or wipe off whatever you don't want on there. You can use browns, blacks, browns, whatever really, to add layers upon layers. I just like to brush mine off and then let it naturally settle. And it tends to come out looking pretty good for a picture. Any costume you get up close to, you'll start seeing the imperfections and all that, but that's not what it's about. It's about deceiving the eye from this far away, you know? It's all about deceiving those eyeballs. All right, we'll let that sit for a little bit, let it dry, see what it looks like, add more if we want more, take away some with paper towel or Scotch-Brite if we want less, and yeah, looks pretty good from here right now, but we'll see when it dries. All right, so I went ahead and hit all my pieces with this metallic primer, dark steel, just as another layer of primer, and to kind of give me an idea, like when I'm sanding through, the high spots, low spots, and that's what this looks like. And you can see kind of the ickiness of my paint job so far. Not being patient with paint never helps, but I'm gonna get by, and I think it's gonna look pretty good. I've been trying to sand too early. I always have a limited time when I can film with all my other stuff I've got going on in my life, so I always try to push it up. So this has turned out pretty gnarly. But I actually have hit this other side just testing it out with sandpaper, and you can see how it's coming through. but I kind of like the way this looks. It looks more realistic metal than this. I'm still gonna hit the whole thing again with this metallic that I hit the inside parts with, but I may go over top of it with a Scotch-Brite pad just to break out, like when I hit this. Just lightly hit it with the Scotch-Brite. Just to break the flake look. So when I go and put toothpaste over it, it will look, I feel like more like Scotch-Brited aluminum like I do on my helmets. So how I've done this was just using, I think it was this, no, this pad, and I've just been sanding it, trying to flatten it out and take some of the aggressive sanding marks out of it. But even though this looks nasty, I think I've achieved getting rid of the damage marks in the plastic, which is what the CRL states is you have to get rid of those. So I think even though I've made a mess of this, I've achieved that. So I'm just going to keep on going. Just as long as it looks different than a BOBA FETT Black Series helmet, I think they will be happy. And I can understand some people out there's frustration with you not being able just to go buy a Black Series and paint it in your scheme, about having to go the extra step of taking out the damage marks. But with the Mandalorian mercs, unless you're making a canon character, they really want you to have it to be your own character. And so I understand why they did it, to get rid of the damage marks, because those are specifically how Boba Fett's helmet is, or pretty close to. So yeah, this hasn't been that hard. Some filler primer. I'm thinking they're just going to want to see that you've made an attempt to change the helmet. We'll see. I'll ask and see if it's approvable. And if it is, then you'll know the answer. Taking the helmet apart was not that hard. And all that. So just a little bit of elbow grease and some paint, and you could have yourself an awesome Mandalorian helmet. So I'm going to continue to sand this off here, and I'll come back with what it looks like. Alright, so I've got this sanded down. I'm going to go ahead and do a test run on this and see what it looks like when I get the silver on it. And then do the toothpaste, get some black on it, and then do the teal with all that, and just see what this is going to look like, if it's going to be good enough or not. I may have to sand it all off and start over again, but if it comes out looking nice, then I'll continue on. So I'm going to go with the silver, and then we'll go from there. Alright, you can kind of see a lot of the imperfections in the paint. That is a good thing. Like this one, I scratched that in there with my fingernail. So I'm going to try to make these the silver parts from this. So I'm going to go in with toothpaste, hit a bunch of parts, hit the edges, and yeah, we'll try to make it look gnarlified. So I've got my Crest toothpaste just like in the painting video. I've got a Q-tip, and I'm just going to come in here with the toothpaste like so. Hit all these little damaged areas with toothpaste and really try to bring those out. And then I'll hit it with a coat of black, put some more in there, and then I'll hit it with the final teal color. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all done. I'll come back and show you where I hit with the toothpaste, and then I'll hit it with the black. So I may have gone a little toothpaste crazy on this one. So we will see how it looks. When it comes out, I'm gonna hit it with this black here, and then I'll put more on, and then we'll hit it with the teal. All right, I got my black on. I always like to do, you ask why black and not just go straight to teal? Because I like to do multiple layers of paint and just gives depth to the paint job. Something else to pop through the paint except for the metal just showing through. I think it makes it look better. So I always try to put 2 or 3 colors. So I decided to go with the black, and we'll put the teal on after this. So you're just gonna kind of add the toothpaste onto where you have the toothpaste already existing. Doesn't have to go everywhere. You want to get it on like the deep cuts in here, around the edges. Doesn't have to be perfect. Honestly, really curious to see what this is going to look like with all the mistakes that I've made. But hey, if this looks good, then you know that pretty much anybody can do it. With all the craziness that I've put in this. More toothpaste. I'll hit it with the teal, let it dry, rinse it off, and then hopefully it looks good. I'm hoping with all the scratches that I've had from the sandpaper will be my micro scratches, or like the scratches that I put in with it, I call micro scratches, just what would look like your everyday scratches rubbing up against trees or whatever. Not deep gouges, just surface scratches. I might still do that with the rocks. But I'm not sure how plastic will do that, so we'll find out. So yeah, I'll get my teal down and get a black, or see what it looks like after that, and then scratches and black wash, and hopefully it looks awesome. We'll see. So here is what those metal parts look like after you hit it with some black wash. This makes it look more realistic. Got grunge and grime, and just makes it look that much cooler. I'm really happy with that way that looks, and I'll probably leave that alone with how it is. There's that piece. Have the inside, so the helmet, inside the helmet will look like Beskar. So that's the goal. So that's that. All right, not too bad. I had one breakout spot here where literally the paint peeled away. But I'm gonna black wash this, and we'll come back and see what it looks like after that. I think it's gonna look pretty good. Let's do it. All right, we're on day 2. I decided to let all my paint set because I was really having a hard time, like I said, sanding everything. So everything's cured up nice. I got my black wash on here. So, see, it came up pretty good. Metal looks almost believable from here, you know. All right, so what I'm gonna do now that I have kind of the faceplate done and kind of my recipe, I'm gonna go ahead and sand the dome in the back. Again, you can see it still has these which need to be taken out, reasonably taken out here, and then I've got these. This one's almost done. I'm gonna clean it up a little more and see how the markings are gone. Almost gone. So I'm gonna do some more sanding on this stuff, and then I will probably get it sanded, maybe prime it one more time, or hit it with the black if it's smooth, or the silver. Hit it with the silver, see if it's smooth, and then once that gets tackier, set up enough, then I'll apply toothpaste, black, more toothpaste, teal, and then let that dry, and I'll probably put the whole helmet back together then, and then black wash the whole entire thing together, and just to make sure that some of the paint spots will kind of match as one single unit. So we get this stuff sanded and painted, and when we come back, since I already showed you all those steps of going through on here, the next time I come back, these will all hopefully look like that, and we'll take it from there. I'm going to, yeah. So let's get all that done. All right, so I got my dome sanded. I just wanted to show you guys what this looks like after it's sanded before I painted it. And you can see here how the filler primer has covered that in really nicely. So it did its job. Same with some of these others. Did a pretty good job of filling in the imperfections that are molded into the helmet, and that's what they want gone. So now that I have that done, I'm gonna go hit it with the silver. And I imagine some of these will have a fade outline, but that's okay because then we'll hide that in our weathering. I think they just want to see a changed profile of the helmet. They don't want to see the same scuffing, and so we'll put our own in here to hide the ones that were already existing if they are kind of sticking through the paint a little bit. But I would think that they'd be okay with that, just as long as you're putting the time in and making it your own. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with silver and then start doing toothpaste, black, toothpaste, teal, and we'll see how it comes out here in the end. All right, I got this sanded, same deal. I feel like I've got all the imperfections kind of filled in and smoothed out. I also feel like I've made some of my own with the gummy paint, so that mistake may have helped me out here, just moving some of the damage around. Like you can see up in here, it's kind of, with the paint being gummy and me trying to sand it, kind of wrinkled over and made its own bunch of imperfections, and just smoothing those out created its own little damage pattern. So that's kind of cool. Try to get a close up here. You can see how it's kind of like crinkly here. That's just from that gummy paint. So got that smoothed out. Also the ear cap has a little damage, you can see here. Got that smoothed out. There was some here. I'm just kind of smoothing those out, trying to get them, make them less noticeable or get rid of them completely. So let me get these wiped off and then paint it in the silver. And yeah, we'll come back with some toothpaste and do that whole deal again. So let's roll on that. All right, I get my layer of silver down. For the most part, all that damage is gone. There is a little bit of haze, like, oh, that's a hair. You can see kind of the shadow, I suppose I'll say, of some of them, but we'll cover that up with the toothpaste and weathering. Same with this. Came out pretty good. There's some scratches in there from the sanding, but I'm not going to worry about it because I can hide a lot of this with the weathering. So now my toothpaste, and put on the black. All right, while I'm waiting on the paint to dry, I decided I'm going to go ahead and try to redo our visor because the visor needs to be darker. Like I said, I got this, I think it's from Lincoln, Shade 3 visor. Let me come up here and kind of show you what this is. Shade 3, you see how you can see through it? I'm not sure if this is going to be dark enough. My other Hobart lenses that are Shade 3 are, but seeing through this, I'm hoping with the back, you know, we'll make it so you can't see your face through the lens, but we'll see. But this process that I'm about to do should work for those flattened out, which will honestly probably be preferable over this lens, because this lens is not only curved this way, it's also curved this way, which I couldn't quite tell. Now I'm hoping that once I get this clamped down, you see how that has to curve this way? I'm hoping that once I get this cut out and you put the screws in, it's just gonna pull the lens into place, but I don't know that for sure. So what I'm gonna do here, and what you're gonna need for this, is some clamps with some flat pads on it. Okay, I got 3 of these, or there's some clamps so you can clamp this into place. You'll need a Sharpie to trace it out, a pair of shears to shear out the lens, and a 13/64 drill bit is the size of these holes. Okay, so what I'm about to do here is I'm going to clamp my visor down, drill the holes out and trace around it, take this off, and then cut out the line with the shears. You do not need to get all these little whoops in there. You can make it nice and smooth all the way down I don't know. I don't think there's any reason for these notches. Maybe these notches for the front there. But maybe we could file those out, or we'll figure out. You may need these. But everything else, I don't think you need all this stuff. But we'll cut it out, and I'll kind of see if this works or not. And if it does, then you'll know how to make a new lens. It should work. So let's go ahead and give this a shot, and we'll learn together. That was a pain in the butt to cut because they have a ridge in here. Just like that, so getting across that front was kind of tough. Hopefully I didn't get it all. Go back in here and clean this up a little bit. Alright, so I ended up doing this to the bottom. I still gotta do it here, and I just clipped out a little bit, and then took the edge of my drill bit. Kind of ground it out like that. Not going to be the prettiest lens because I don't have my sanding stuff here, but I'm trying to do this with tools that most people will have in their house. I also had to drill it out one size bigger, which is 7/64, I believe, not the 13 32nds. I'll verify that here in a second. I think it's going to work. Even with the flex in there, when I get this all bolted down, you can see I almost missed this top corner because of how it was rotated this way. But I think once I get everything all settled in and clamped down and bolted down, it'll sit in there pretty good. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get it all settled in here, peel the plastic, get stuff bolted down, and we'll see how it looks. So yeah, that worked. Got it all bolted into place. You can see how cool the silver looks in here. And then I'll black wash more in here probably, or maybe not, I don't know. All the screws are in, the lens is in. I honestly think once I get the rest of the helmet on here, it's going to be dark enough. I know you can probably see my face through here, but I have lights shining directly into my face. But this one might be okay. Just have to, yeah, see what happens when I get the rest of it put together. Alright, so here are my dome. Not black washed yet. The back piece. I'm going to go ahead and get my helmet put back together, and then I'll show you what's up, and then we'll black wash the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put all my parts back together. Exciting! Alright, I got my helmet put back together, more or less. Everything but the ear caps, those are still drying. But I just wanted to show how this looks so far. I think the lens might be okay. These lights make it look like so you can see it through there. But without that blaring light, I think it's actually going to be okay. Now I got to black wash this deal. Get the ear caps back on. And then I'll show you how I'm going to go ahead and put the padding on the inside. Look how nice this looks. Really hard to get a good, just that little bit of metallic paint and black wash really dress this thing up. I like that a lot. Alright, I'm going to just hit this with a quick coat of black wash to make it look more like this, and I think it's going to look really good. You can't see any of the old ingrained damage marks from the Boba Fett mold. So yeah, that's one thing I was hoping you wouldn't be able to see, and you definitely can't. So yeah, let's black wash this thing. All right, we are almost done. Here are the ear caps. Oh, look how beat up that helmet is. It's a pretty good way of covering up all your mistakes. I made a lot of them along the way, but hey, I think it paid off in the end because some of the mistakes turned into some cool features on this helmet. The helmet still goes down and blinks. I coated this stem with the aluminum tape like my brother did on the Death Watch helmet. You can see how I sanded a little bit off, and I put some up here. Just make it look beat up. The last thing we need to do, head pads. I'll link these in the description of the video along with the rest of the kind of stuff I made. This comes with a bunch of different size pads. You know, your top pad, 6 of these, and 2 of these bigger squares, and then all the sticky stuff, or the Velcro with sticky back to put them in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in here, and then I'll show them to the camera, kind of my configuration with how it fits on my head. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I've got my head pads in place. I will show you my configuration. I've got 3 of the regular rectangles there, the 2 squares, obviously the center section in the center, the 2 bigger squares off to the left and right, and 1 singular pad here, and then I have 2 left over. So with these sticky back Velcro things, they stick pretty well, but they don't stick so good that you can't tear them off and reposition them 2, 3, 4 times, and with them being able to stick on. I know they're kind of made to kind of go here and then come around, but just didn't fit my head right. I got this pad specifically placed to catch me on my little brow right here, so it sits nice and tight without flopping around. You know, there's a little jiggle this way, but other than that, I'm hoping that's it. I'm hoping that is a Mandalorian Mercs approvable helmet. I really like this color, and then it'll match the rest of my armor that I'm doing, or half of it. So yeah, there's the helmet. So I reached out to my friend on the app team to ask if this would be approvable, and she said that I did a really great job. She only had one concern, and that it was this gap. Now, I'll add a picture in here. This is what the gap looked like. It was definitely stuck out, and it was because of the lens that I put in there kind of wide and made the helmet not go together exactly right. So I've kind of adjusted things, and I've got the gap in this front crack right here down pretty small. She said it would probably fly, but they may kick it back when I go to do my actual app. just because it just depends. So what I'm going to do is I bought some aluminum colored silicone, and I'm going to go in here and just fill this crack in with this, just so I know that it won't get kicked back. And so that's what I'm going to do now. Yeah, I'm going to fill this crack in, black wash it, and that should take care of the problem. So yeah, just aluminum colored silicone. I'm going to do this right now. I've never done this, so hopefully this works out for us. I just put a really small cut in here because I just want a little bit, just enough to fill this crack in. So that looks really good, I think. Fills in the crack, blends in with the silver spray paint that I already have. I'll hit it with some black wash after it dries, just to take down the sheen just a little bit. But yeah, I think that will be golden. And we're done, guys. I hope this video was informative. Hope you guys liked this video. This was a tough build. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I am ecstatic with what came out. I feel like it matches my metal costume just perfectly. You can't tell, I don't think, from there that this is plastic and then this is metal, and that's what I was going for. I'm so happy with this helmet. I think I'm going to stick with it. My original plan was to make a metal helmet for this costume. I really love how this came out, and it fits really nice to my head. It's nice and light. So yeah, I hope you guys are able to make yourself one. You can see the finished seam up here, how that silicone just matches perfectly. So I'm really happy with that. I went ahead and filled in this seam too, just because. And then also the visor that I actually cut out for this. This is the original visor. I didn't get it quite drilled perfectly, and I think that was the reason why this gap got so big. It was spreading this out. So what I did is I just went ahead and taped in the one that I cut out. So you can do it either way. I think if I would put that other visor in and then silicone that seam again, it'd be just perfect. But we did it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build. Now don't be surprised if you get dinged back on the helmet for something else. I just got, like I said, I reached out to one of my friends that's on the app team, and she said with a quick glance and kind of looked at the pictures that it should be good to go. And it's not saying that when I go to apply with this kit that they're not going to find something else on here, but this is a great start. So yeah, just wanted to put that in there so I don't get a bunch of messages going, hey, Mercs didn't approve my helmet. This is at least a good starting off point. This should be approvable. If not, I'll fix whatever else they want fixed, but I'm really happy with this. So if you guys enjoyed that video, I ask you to like it, comment, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and all that fun stuff. I have my Patreon page if you want to jump on board to help support my channel that way too. And while I have all this on, what do you guys think? I'm really happy with how this kit is coming out. It's a post-Empire kit, and I'm going to go for the approval with this kit. So, anyway, my name's Matt Schwartz. I'm the Welding Geek. Thanks for watching, guys.